The movie ends with a blood-curdling scream from Monique Gabrielle, who is here with me, my special guest on tonight's edition of Scream Queen Month. And that was obviously a very low-budget film, wasn't it?
It was very low budget. I think we just took the change out of our pockets and threw it in a pile and said, let's make a movie.
Okay, well, but every penny was on the screen.
Oh, yes.
You know, David Carradine didn't have a lot to do. He just kind of was lurking around out in the yard the whole movie.
Well, he's a natural lurker, so they didn't want to give him anything that was too difficult.
Yeah, well, he just had that cape and did a lot of mugs, and that was it. So, had the one big scene.
That's right.
Okay, well, let's talk more about your career as a scream queen. You have been naked more times in more movies than any other actress I know of. I mean, I mean that as a compliment. There may be others, but you're pretty high on the list, you know, as far as doing nude scenes. And most actresses, they will say, well, it's something you have to do, you know, hopefully you can keep it to a minimum. But I get the impression that you don't really feel that way. You're totally comfortable with it. Is that right?
Well, what the people out there don't realize, it gets very hot with all the lights, and I just get hot, and I'm just a nature girl, and I just say, to hell with it, and I'm not going to be uncomfortable doing this. So I just take off my clothes to get cool.
You do. And you're really not kidding when you say you're a nature girl, right? Because I read an interview with you somewhere where you said your parents were actually nudists.
Actually, my mother is a very strict Christian woman. She won't take her clothes off in front of anybody. But my father was the opposite. He just loved being in the sun without the burdens of clothing.
So your mother was a Christian fundamentalist and your father was a nudist? It must have been an interesting house.
Well, that's why I'm sort of schizophrenic at times.
Oh, really? Okay. And so, well, now another thing is you're a great exotic dancer, because in a lot of these movies you do kind of what I don't know what to call them, harem dances or something. You know, the directors obviously know of your talent for kind of erotic dancing.
Well, actually I started dancing when I was about 2 years old. My mother caught me in the living room and I'd just taken all my clothes off and I was just like dancing around. So I guess that was a natural thing for me to do too. And I just, I had sort of a Jennifer Beals thing from Flashdance where, you know, she watches the ballet and things and she just picks up dance, and that's what I did. I just loved to watch other people dance, and then I would do those moves.
Wow, well, who did you watch to do those dances? You were watching Dad, weren't you? All right, well, do you still have your fan club?
Yes, I do.
Okay, because normally this would be the time of the show when we read letters from fans. We call it Joe Bob's Advice to the Hopeless, but we don't want to spend time on that while you're here. So what I will do is I'm going to give out our usual address, and besides writing to me and requesting movies, no one is going to write to me this week. Let's you know, let's face it. But if you want to write to me, get my newsletter. Or if you want to write to Monique, or you want to join her fan club.
And I have lots of products that I'm sure all the guys will want.
That's right. Monique loves her fan club. Send that mail to the Movie Channel mailbox, P.O. Box 1264, Radio City Station, New York, New York, 10101. And do you answer all your mail?
I sure do.
Okay, right. So she'll answer all her mail. And nothing disgusting, guys. Keep it clean, all right? You let me know if there's anything disgusting in this mail, okay?
Okay, I will.
All right. Now, Monique, we were only able to get the rights to one of your movies tonight. And, you know, they're in such demand. So we're going to watch a non-Monique movie as our second feature. I'm sorry. But will you stay here with me while we watch it? Because...
Okay, I'll
it's
try.
Scary.
I know it's a very scary film, and the last one scared my dress, so it changed colors.
Well, we noticed that, Monique. I didn't want to say anything about it, but yeah, we did notice that. And all right, well, this movie is actually made by a friend of mine, and I think you may know him too. But I would think it was a great horror flick, even if I didn't know him. It's called The Unborn. And it's an outstanding killer baby horror flick starring Brooke Adams and Jeff Hyanga as this couple who show up at a fertility clinic only to fall into the evil experimental world of James Karen, who's a scientist trying to create super intelligent babies by shooting them up with protein steroids. We end up with a bunch of fetuses that are like miniature Hulk Hogans ripping their way into the world. Not a very pretty sight. So, but this is the first film of my buddy Rodman Flinders. Do you know Rodman?
I sure do.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
I knew Rodman when he was just starting out with Roger Corman.
Yeah, and he used to like send out news releases and kind of hang around the office and do the Xerox machine
That's
and stuff
right.
like that. And now he's a big-time director. So, and I think it shows he's going to be a great director. 17 dead bodies, one breast, one motor vehicle. It's not your kind of movie, is it? One breast, one motor vehicle chase, cat mutilation, lesbian bashing, and I mean that literally. A lesbian gets bashed with a claw hammer. 4 stars, rated R. Check it out, and I'll be right here with Monique, making sure nothing happens to her. Are you able to walk on the streets, or do you have to have a bodyguard with you at all times? You know, I think The Unborn may be the best killer baby movie ever made, because the original was the 1974 classic, It's Alive. Do you remember that poster? There's only one thing wrong with the Johnson baby. It's alive. That's the great killer baby movie, but this is a great one too. And with me, as my special guest tonight, is Monique Gabrielle, star of many great movies like Amazon Women on the Moon and Silk 2. That was a great one. That's the only movie I ever saw where somebody did kung fu in the nude. That was great. Are you proud of that?
I'm very proud of that because I didn't have a stunt double or anything for those scenes.
Oh, well, I could tell. I mean, kung fu when you're naked seemed a little awkward at times, if you know what I mean, and I think you probably do.
I sure do.
But they came out looking pretty good, didn't you think? Do you know martial arts?
I've studied for a few months, but you know, I couldn't keep up with Chuck Norris.
Well, I guess they didn't have any martial arts in the nude schools in L.A., did they?
No, you have to travel to the Far East for that.
Okay. How come Emmanuel 5, one of your films, is so hard to find?
Everybody loves it, and they've just rented them out and sold them out, and they're so hard to keep on the shelves, I guess.
So it is in the video stores now.
Oh,
it's
yes,
just
it
like frequently rented, I
Yes.
guess. Okay. The only reason I know about your work in that movie is that there's a scene from it in Hollywood Scream Queen Hot Tub Party. Now, how did that movie come about?
Just a couple of kooky director-producers decided to capitalize on the Scream Queens' names and put us in this very strange video where we're all in a haunted house.
With a hot tub.
With a hot tub, having a reunion, a Scream Queen reunion.
And they use clips from your famous scenes as you talk about your careers.
Right.
And so, do you like that movie or no? You're not crazy about that movie. It's
Well,
okay. You don't have to say anything
It's good if
nasty.
you don't compare it to anything that's really good.
Okay. Now, in that movie, I don't want to dwell on it, but you do one of your famous erotic dances in that movie, right?
Yes.
You like that, don't you? That's a nice
Yes.
scene.
Yes. I like dancing, and it was the dance of the vampiress, where I just reel my victims into me.
All right. You know, the last time you were on the show, you did some animal sounds because you're an expert in animal sounds. You even put it on your acting resume. I can do animal sounds, right?
That's right.
So what are your best animal sounds this year?
Well, the chimpanzee wins hands down, and I want to tell everybody out there that not everybody can do this. I went for special training to do these animal sounds. It took years. I have a diploma, so not just anybody can do them. You know what I mean? Oh, I'm sorry. I get a little carried away
Oh, well,
sometimes.
that's wonderful, Monique. That's just exactly what we wanted. And you know what they always say in show business, never follow an animal act and never follow an animal sound, more importantly. So that's it for tonight. We have one last week of Scream Queens Month next Saturday night when my guest will be Wendy McDonald, and we'll be showing 2 of Wendy's movies, including the 1991 Drive-In Academy Award winner, Naked Obsession. And you should have been in that movie, Monique. That's the greatest topless bar flick ever made. Not that there's that many of them, but it's the greatest one ever made. Did you see the movie?
I saw the movie. I thought it was great, but I was out of town shooting, you know, a film. I can't even remember now. I think, you know, I'm trying to block it out of my mind, actually.
They definitely would have cast you in Naked Obsession, I think. Well, do you have any more animals? How about an aardvark? Can you do that?
Joe Bob, you asked me 4 years ago when I was on about that, and I've been trying to find a school that will teach an aardvark sound, and they just don't.
Okay, I don't
There's
even know what
something
one sounds
illegal
like
about
myself.
it, I think.
Okay. Well, it's become a tradition in Scream Queens Month. You have to tell us one embarrassing thing about yourself before we go, okay?
Okay. Well, it's not really an embarrassing moment, but it was kind of embarrassing for someone else, and it's very funny. Well, I was shooting Death Stalker 2. There's a very sexy love scene in it. And to get my close-ups, they had to substitute the actor in the love scene and put the cameraman there. So he's lying on the floor, pointing the camera up at me, and I'm on a...
Well, you're nude.
Yeah, I'm nude. Well, not completely, but almost. And I think I was wearing a little body makeup or something. And so I'm on a box leaning over him, and I'm just vamping it out and getting into all the moves and growling at him, you know, like Evie does, and just really into it. And he's sweating profusely and trying to keep the camera in focus.
Our crew is sweating profusely.
And you know, it was just looking at it from the crew's standpoint, I mean, it was just the most hilarious thing, and they all cracked up laughing, and I was just like into this moment, so serious, you know. I'd studied it for a long time to do this exact, you know, moves and sounds and stuff, and it was just, they cracked up, and I'm like, this is serious drama here. What are you laughing about?
But they weren't laughing at you being sexy. They were laughing at the cameraman looking like an idiot, sweating as he pointed the camera up at your... Anyway.
My two enormous talents.
That's right, your two enormous talents. Joe Bob Briggs, you're better than I am. You'll say things that I won't say. Joe Bob Briggs reminding you that the drive-in will never die. And you know, Monique, I'm really starting to get into this Scream Queens thing. You should come back 2-3 times a year. Because I know the crew likes the idea.
I would love to. I'll be back anytime.
Okay, we'll hold you to it.
Ooh, hold me close.